I never got asked to prom. I never got asked to homecoming. I don't know if guys were just scared of me or what it was, but
Probably
I
that.
think I was just like scary and standoffish.
What's up, everybody? It's Katie Austin here, and welcome back to Austin AF. Today, I have one of my good friends, Maddie, coming in studio. She is a model, entrepreneur, and influencer, and she's coming in to talk all about body image in the modeling industry and kind of how the modeling industry can really affect someone's mental health, how she is so much more than just a model, and also touching on the fact of society's view of pretty privilege as well, which I think is a really, really important topic to discuss. And then later on, we are going to touch on her favorite quotes, her favorite mantra. She's very spiritual. She's into meditation and what she does for her mental health, time management, and also some of her hilarious dating moments. So before Maddie comes into studio, I just wanted to get into my product of the week for Verizon's In the Know segment. I love my Verizon In the Know segment just because I can really touch on some products that I love either at the moment or, drumroll please, products that I am an investor in. I actually don't talk enough about me investing in certain companies, and I really want to do a whole entire episode of companies that I have invested in and why I really chose them and why I believe them. But Halo Sport is a new sports drink company, and they have different products now. Like they have some powders and gummies, and electrolyte hydration drink on the market. So that's what I'm holding right now, and I absolutely love. So I decided to invest in Halo because first up, the founders are amazing. The whole entire team is so great. It's backed by scientists as well. And plus, I wanted to really find a natural hydration sports drink on the market that was, lower in calories and sugar than Gatorade, but still give you those amazing nutrients and electrolytes, was organic. And Halo is reverse osmosis water, actually. So it's really good for you, has those added electrolytes. So if you guys want to check out all my products of the week, make sure to go to the link in the description or try the QR code to go to www.intheknow.com/AustinAF. One more time, my Verizon In the Know product of the week is Halo, and it can be found at www.intheknow.com/AustinAF. And now let's get to Maddie. Well, hello, Maddie. Thank you
Hi,
so
how
much
are
for
you?
coming into the
Really
Austin AF
excited.
studio today. So you've been living in New York lately, but you're in LA. How was your weekend in LA?
Yes, it's been so much fun. I honestly, ever since I moved away, I didn't think I would miss it just because I was so ready for something new. But every time I come back, I just keep pushing my flight back. And there's actually a
Yeah.
hurricane right now, and I was using that as an excuse.
It
Like,
is a very big
oh shoot,
excuse.
I guess I can't go back. And I was like, well, it was raining for a day, and now it's sunny again. So you have no reason that you can't. Like, well, I also have no reason I have to go back. So.
Exactly, and I wanna actually start right there. So, you have been in 2 different cities living, in New York City and Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and we were talking earlier about the differences between the 2. And what exactly do you miss about Los Angeles that New York doesn't have, besides the weather?
That, obviously, and then I think just overall, the pace of life is just I didn't realize until leaving that it's so mellow here, it's chill, you can
Yeah.
go to the beach, it's healthier, like, obviously, there's still going out and socializing and whatnot, but New York, on the other hand, is just so go, go, go. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse because there's a million things to do on a Monday night and just the drinking and kind of
Yeah.
crazy, like hectic lifestyle. So I really appreciate that it's a little more mellowed out here. The people are super different. Gosh, I feel like they're just total opposites
Completely
in so
agree.
many different ways.
I am from the East Coast, and so I would visit New York City a lot. I actually lived in New York for 6 weeks, which I know is not a
Oh, I
very
didn't know
long
that.
time, but yeah, so last year, right before the pandemic, I lived in New York for 6 weeks, and I was so burnt out after 6 weeks. It was
Right.
crazy, like you said, there's something to do on a Monday night, and I was just drinking all the time because there was not
Mm-hmm.
much else to do, like, you couldn't, like, go on a hike, and there's not much space, or go to the beach and not
No.
drink, and so it was really hard to balance social life and work.
Right, it all revolves around drinking and eating, but it's truly we're in LA, I feel like, "Okay, it's a Saturday night, I don't really have much else to do, like, I'm gonna go get a drink." There, it's such a social thing that you truly every single time I go out to a dinner or an event, whatever it may be, someone's willing to help me out, and I find someone that, like, has a connection that's beneficial to me, and they're willing to help you more than I feel like here for some reason. I found it
Interesting.
very competitive here, like, your success takes away from my own, whereas there, it was more like, I wanna grow with you and help you out, and it's just I feel like it's because everyone's grinding and, like, struggling so hard that it's just, like, let's help each other out and survive because like
Right.
you said, someone posted something that is from here and was visiting and said, "Every time I leave my door in New York, I feel like I'm fighting for my life." Like, I don't know how you guys live here because it's just so intense, and now I find myself every other weekend at least, like, either going to the Hamptons, coming to LA, going home, like, doing something because it's so go, 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 but I think that the people there are, like, just so genuine and, like, I know they get a bad rep for being really honest, but I love that because I found here because I'm from the East Coast originally as well, and I know we're both from DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Virginia, I guess,
Yeah,
and,
technically.
I don't know, I just always felt like I was trying to be someone I wasn't here, and, like, there's redeeming qualities, obviously, I have a huge network here and a lot of friends like yourself,
Hey.
but, yeah, there I just feel like people say it how it is, there's no bullshit, like, if someone doesn't like you, you know from the get-go that they don't like you, and it is what it is.
Absolutely, and I feel like in LA, you kinda touched on this a little bit. People are friends with you for the wrong reasons,
Mhm.
and I see that a lot in Los Angeles, then they use you, and I have been asked favors of, like, someone will realize I'm friends with someone, say, like, a B-list celebrity, they're like right away, the first thing that they'll ever ask me is, "Hey, let's not hang out." It's, "Can you put me in contact with so and so?" And you're like and that makes me question that I'm being used. At the same time, I wish I was more of the type of person that didn't always think I was being used, like
Mhm.
a New York kind of mentality, that
Right.
it's like, of course I'll help you, and trust me, I help a lot of people out, and if
Mhm.
someone literally someone asked me for a favor, like, out of the blue last week, and I did it, but at the same time, I had that, like, "Are you using me?"
But would you
factor.
prefer for them for see, because I would rather someone just ask me, like, "Hey, can you connect me with this person? Hey, can you do this for me?" Versus like, "Hey, how are you? Let's hang out sometime."
Yeah,
And then, like,
and
get to know like,
that's usually
act
what
like
it
they
is.
give a shit, and then like, "Oh, by the way, can you do this for me?" It's like, just cut to the chase, you
Totally.
know?
There is a time and place, though. I find it
See, that's very
very
LA of
odd.
you.
I find it really odd when someone that I barely know is like, "Hey, do you mind connecting me to Stephen Curry?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"What
okay.
the
Well, that's,
fuck?"
like, next level.
Right? And
Yeah.
people do that all the time, and I get so weirded out by it.
Yeah. See, I would never. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even think to do that.
No,
No.
exactly, exactly.
That's
You
not
wouldn't
even
think
like,
to
"Oh,
do
Katie, can you put me on your podcast?"
it.
Like, even that, like,
Yeah.
no, I don't know. That's
No, it's
weird.
weird, it's so weird, and we were talking about this earlier too, how in New York City, people don't care if you have followers.
Right, that's what I was gonna say going off of that, is people don't care who you are, like, you can be a huge celebrity will be out at dinner, and no one says anything, they just let them be. Same with the whole influencer thing, it was kind of a rude awakening, and we're probably getting to how, like, the privilege thing, but, like,
Yeah.
here, everyone is just it's almost a currency, the social thing, and having followers and being
Yes.
an influencer and all that, it's almost like, you can use it instead of paying for things.
Absolutely.
And I went, "Oh, okay, it's a major city, it's New York, there has to be people that also are influencers, and businesses must know that that's, a huge way of, paying for things or promoting things is equal to paying for whatever, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?"
currency.
Yeah, but they just don't get it, they just don't care. Like, I'll go to a restaurant hoping to post in exchange for a meal, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll give you 10% off." Like, we don't give a shit.
There's
So
pros and cons to that.
there is, because I also think it's kind of annoying and it's a little bit humbling, like, wow, people, like, they're not phased by what I thought was everything now,
Right.
you
Well, I mean,
know?
600K, which you have on Instagram, is like a shit ton in LA. So do you
Right.
have more influencer friends in LA or New York City?
Way more in LA, and that's actually something I've been struggling with because I was under the impression that New York, like I said, would have still, like, some sort of world for that. So you're like a big fish in a it's not, I mean, it's a huge city, but, like, as far as the influencer scene, you're a big fish in a small pond, and if you find the people that are also influencers, it's like I never, like, slide into a dude's DMs or anything, but I'm, like, trying to date girls at this point. Like, I'll find a girl that's an influencer in New York or model and be like, "Hey, would love to hang out sometime. Let's go get a drink." And it's like, I feel like I'm trying to use them or something, and it's really weird. But you almost have to do that. Like, if finding locations to shoot or anything like that, it's just
Yeah.
all been like, and I think just life in general in New York for me has just been like brutal. Like, if you're trying to get somewhere in the city, you hop on the subway and it's hot and, like, it's your makeup's melting off. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
like, a lot more. You don't just throw your stuff in your car and go about your day,
I
so
think it's so awesome though because you are totally getting out of your comfort zone and you're in your mid
right.
20s and you're young and you're trying a new city and it's just, I know you've lived, in DC and Austin, Texas too. And
Mhm.
so like you've tried new cities, but New York is just so different from LA.
Well, that's why actually I moved. I mean, people were like, why now? Do you have a job that you're going there for? I'm like, well, yeah, I'll model there. But at the end of the day, I just think in life, like as soon as you're comfortable, for me, that's a sign to mix it up. Like I get complacent and bored, and I think life's too short. Like how many of my friends would want to do that in their 20s? Ever since I've been a kid, I've always wanted to do a year in New York City. I think everyone in their 20s has to live there at least once, which I'm glad you did
Shit.
as well.
Kind of, not really.
Well, it's like, I don't know, just the energy there, and there's so much going on, and just like I walk to a coffee shop, meet friends on the way, in line. Like there's just so much to learn from, and I always say that I just feel like it's mentally stimulating. Like there's
I love
always
that.
art gallery openings, like cool new
Yeah.
restaurants, and I'm really trying to get into the food scene and just anything that you wanna do, like, even if you don't know exactly what path you're on, if you're in New York, like, there's just as long as you have that drive, it's gonna be rewarded and you'll figure it out. And who knows if I'll be there for 2 more years, 6 months,
But the best
rest of
part
my
is you
life,
don't have to
like, you
know.
don't have to. Everything is that's the thing too, is you find, like, you get so, like, this is permanent, like, I'm moving across the country, but even my friend Alex, like, we were just saying how, okay, you can move there. And if in 2 weeks you decide this isn't for me, like, okay, I rented my furniture. I'll just put my stuff in. Everything's temporary and you can move wherever you want,
I
you know?
completely agree, and it's not even as much so as moving, it's almost like every scenario you think of and you're really scared to do is thinking this sounds really bad, but thinking of the worst possible situation. The
Hmm.
worst possible situation for you is you absolutely hate it and you waste, like, some money moving across the country, obviously,
Right.
and that money goes to waste and maybe your time, trying it out, but at least you could say you tried.
But I want to correct you though. It's not even a waste because of everything that you learn from it. Like,
Yeah,
even if like I'm working way less in New York than I was, my whole modeling situation there didn't go as planned, but at the end of the day, it's like I have learned so much from this and just even like just from, self like validation of wow, I'm capable of that. Like I was able to how scary when you look at it as a whole picture and that's another thing I would like point out for anyone who's going through something that when you look at the whole picture it seems overwhelming. Like just take it day by day, step by step and you're going to get there eventually.
love that.
'Cause, yeah, just the thought of, like,
The whole
moving
year
to New
and
York, but
right.
then I also look at past, like, okay, was able to move in the past, I can do it again, like,
I love
you
that.
know?
I love that, and you just said you learned a lot from moving there. Are there, like, a few things that first come to your mind when you say that?
Well, like I just said, I think that you're capable of a lot more than you think. Um,
It's true.
what else? From moving there, just that you're not as big of a deal as you think you are too, and
I
not that
like
I'm
that.
cocky, but, like I said, no one cares. Although I must say I get recognized, like, I wouldn't in LA, no one, because I think it's kinda dime a dozen with, like, models and influencers and stuff here, like, I'll be walking about West Village where I live, and people will be like, "Oh,
Hell
Maddie, like,
yeah,
I saw
Maddie.
that you just moved to New York, like,
Hell
how's it
yeah.
going?" Like, I'm gonna be friendly, but let's not have a 30-minute conversation just because you happen to see me sitting on a bench, but, what else have I learned? I don't know, it's actually still I've only been there for 6 months, so it's still
It's
pretty
a
fresh,
while.
but
It's still a while.
I think also just that nothing is insured and, like, your path's gonna change a lot of times, but it's always gonna end up, like, what's meant for you is always gonna come to you,
I love
and
that.
even though right now I'm still kinda figuring it out, and you also don't have to have it figured out, like, I fully told myself too, I would move there, and I'm lucky in the sense that I've been working since I was 15, so I have enough saved that, like, I could not really be working consistently for the year that I'm there, and that's okay, I just wanna be there to fully, like, experience the city. So it's you don't
Absolutely.
always have to be like there's this whole like busyness mindset that people think that you have to be constantly doing something to be productive, but it is doing something to be experiencing a new place.
Absolutely. I completely agree, and last week, actually, the whole episode was figuring it out in your 20s and feeling lost and feeling like you have to have everything figured out by age 25, which
Mhm,
is just so fucking false. And I feel like a lot of people our age do feel lost. But the one
mhm.
way to kind of not feel lost in a sense is to be your most uncomfortable self and feel that change because that's how you're going to grow. And I think you're doing exactly that.
Yeah, thank you. And also it's a constant like breaking down and rebuilding of your goals and figuring out, okay, well, I do like this kind of person in a relationship and I'm going to keep these qualities from X and move on. Or like I would do like this about my old job, but I didn't like this and you're just constantly evolving. Like my mom's in her 50s. She's been working for the past 30 years in medical sales and just decided like this isn't for me anymore. I'm going to do
Right.
something else. And it's like it's never too late to do something new, and you're never gonna be like, "Oh, I've made it. I'm mentally healthy. I got through my anxiety," or whatever it may be, you know? Like,
Yeah, and
You're constantly improving yourself.
especially what we do, like model influencing world, we're never going to be thinking we're enough or we made it. There's always gonna be that next level to our jobs.
Oh, yeah, you make a certain amount of money, you want more. You get to this X amount of followers and you want more, and it's just this also goes back to just being present and having gratitude for where you're at, and, like, okay,
Mm.
I may not have it all figured out right now, but I'm gonna look back on this stage and, like, you're only as young as you are today right now, and just wish I really appreciated, like, that stage and struggling because then when
Yeah.
you have felt like you made it, you're like, "That was kinda fun,"
Yeah.
you know?
No, and, do you ever think sometimes, like, you have so many followers on Instagram, do you ever look back and you remember that self, you're like, "Oh, if I make it to 100K, I'll be like, I made it," and then now you're at, like, over half
Well,
a
even when you
million.
say that, I just am like, it's so what does that even mean?
I
Like, you know what I
know, I
mean?
know.
Like, I feel like too now at this point, I mean, maybe at one point that was a goal of mine and I thought it was cool, but it's like, okay, if I had 1,000,000, 2,000,000, it's like, okay, it's the same thing. Like, it's what does
Totally,
that even equate to,
totally.
you know?
Yeah, and then you touched also on how when you moved to New York in your last 6 months, you weren't, living up to what you thought, like, the modeling industry would be there. What exactly do you mean by that?
So oh, you mean, like, why it wasn't going as planned?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
okay. So I when like I said, when I initially moved there, I obviously, like, wanted to have an agency there and continue pursuing modeling because 'cause I've been doing it for the past 4 years, and it's the big leagues there. It's like it's high fashion, it's super like, it's competitive here, but there it's a whole different animal. And I was just realistic, like, you know what? If it doesn't work out and like I don't sign with an agency I'd like I said, I'm just gonna pursue different passions and like kind of be it's the best place I think to just not know what you want to do because there's so many different industries and cool people to learn from and things to do. So I had no expectations. I think that's also when in life, like things do come your way. So I ended
yeah,
up signing with a really great agency there. And I signed with them before I even moved there. So I kind of hit the ground running when I got there. But then quickly, I mean, in the modeling industry, it takes at least like, people still think I live in LA. People don't even know that I live in New York. Like, when I came back, it's, "Oh, how was your trip? Like, were
it's
you
like, "Oh, no,
enjoying
that
this?" I'm
wasn't
like,
just a
"No, no, no,
trip."
I live there, guys. Like, I've been there for 6 months now." Um, so yeah, it didn't after 3 months, we decided to part ways. It wasn't working out. It just wasn't a good fit, which was kind of, like you put your identity a lot of times into what you do. So for me, especially in a city like New York, where people are just 24/7 working, and a lot of times like, "Oh, I'm in finance. I'm in this." And
Right,
it's like I realize modeling for me has been a huge ego thing, and I define myself as that. And especially in an industry like that, it's like, oh, I'm a model.
right.
So if I'm with X agency, like I'm better than this person who's not with an agency or is with one that's
Oh, it's
worse. Like
like that.
it's almost like sports teams or something. And I took a step back and I'm like, how much do I actually want to be a model? And does this make me happy? Versus does this give is fueling my ego. And it's like I
So
define
interesting.
myself by that. Like if I'm not with a top agency, I feel shitty about myself. People aren't going to take me as seriously because it is almost like a label next to your name. Like if you
Wow.
were a pro athlete or something and you like got dropped for the team or then you went back to what's the one that's beneath like the
Like the
minor.
G League or the
Yeah, something
NBA.
like that. Like you would feel terrible about yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. So agencies in modeling matters or they only matter to comparing yourself to other
So
people?
the industry's changing a lot, honestly. Like being my look and everything, it's really tough right now. And agencies like you do need them and you don't nowadays. Like you can book, I book because I'm a hustler. Like I book a lot of my
Hell yeah.
work on my own. Like I almost work, that's what I'm saying is I almost work just as much, if not more, like from jobs, just from networking and like relationships that I've built and through social media than an agency could bring me. And they know that too, because I had a few meetings recently and they're like, oh, so the jobs that are incoming to you, you're gonna bring them to us. I'm like, yeah, but you need this is a it's they want you to think that you
Two-way
need them and
street.
it's like you work for them and it's they almost belittle you, but it's like, no, it's this is a mutually beneficial relationship. Like
Right.
if I'm bringing you jobs, you need to bring them to me as well because I don't really need you. Like sell me on why
Yeah.
I do need you. So some of the top it's all about your relationship with the agency. Some of the top ones like are incredible and have access to certain clients, like the really high end, like the Chanels and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's really just a label. Like, you can have a small agency, it's like a more boutique and you get more hands-on. It's like a huge school versus a private
Totally.
school. So, it really at
Yes.
the end of the day, like, just even if I sign with the top agency, that doesn't and I've been there too, and it wasn't all it's cracked up to
Because they have
be.
so many more clients.
Yeah, and you have access, but it's also like that doesn't even mean you get all like, worked up about and excited when you sign with a really great agency, but it's like, "Wait, hold on, that doesn't even mean that I'm gonna make money." And we could get into all the ins and outs of that, of, like, not being paid for they don't pay you for 90 days usually, you gotta
Which
pay
is
your
a
rent.
lot. How the fuck do you pay New York
No,
rent after
especially at,
90
like, 20 years
days?
old, I mean, the mental health and body image stuff, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it
Okay, I
that
wanna get into that.
yeah,
I first wanna ask before we get into the mental health stage, I
uh-huh.
wanna ask because I actually don't know. Can you leverage your Instagram followers or your social media followers in the modeling world? Like, do people give a shit?
So that's the other difference, New York versus LA. Here, you would go to castings and they would ask you a lot of times how many followers you have, and you write down your Instagram.
Shut
Because if
up.
you think about it this way, yeah, like some of the top
Why?
makeup companies are hiring huge influencers now
Yeah.
because it's more bang for their buck. Like, why would they? I don't like when I like drop names, but like some of the top, okay, like the Kendall Jenners, whatever, like
Right.
they, the best companies, you flip through a magazine and every single designer is using them. Yes, she's beautiful. She's a great model, but is she any better than the next girl that's been working her ass off her whole life and is with the top agency? Probably not. So
Right.
it's like if it's recognizable, it means more to them. And that's my mindset. So when I went to New York, I was thinking, why would you not work with me? I may be the same height, weight, everything, look wise as the girl next to me, but I have the following attached to it. So
And
if
you
I'm
might
on
Instagram and tag
right, so if
them.
I'm on set, I'm gonna also I can post about your company and it's more like beneficial to you guys to get your name out there that much more. They don't really see it that way. So I think it just depends on the client, but it is interesting that they just like I said, it's just so different. They just don't
That's so crazy that
they're a
the
little bit
same industry in just in 2 different cities can be so different.
I know, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's different types of clients. There's so much that goes into it, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like LA is the Fashion Novas of the world
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes.
Fashion
I don't know if that's
Nova,
fucked up
Forever
or not.
21.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's go into mental health in the modeling industry because I technically now am a in
Oh,
quotes
yeah, you
sports
are.
oh, fuck off, Maddie. Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Okay, so in my bio, I have the word model, but let's be real, I'm not a freaking model.
But what
I'm
does
just
that
not.
okay, so I'm gonna stop
Exactly.
you right there.
What?
What does that mean?
I don't
Like,
know. I
I
don't know.
obviously have so many friends like yourself that are just like I don't see myself as any higher than you, and the whole modeling label is just a little bit like I said,
Yeah,
it's the, like, ego thing. It's what does that even mean? Like,
I
for
don't
you to
know.
say that I'm not a model, but
I don't
you are,
know.
and put me on this
Right,
pedestal,
and
like
I don't know, I just don't consider myself a model, like, I don't go to castings and auditions and have an agency and they book it out and I have to fill out things of, like, my height and weight. I've never done that, like, Sports Illustrated Swimsuit has never asked for your height
yeah,
or
but that's
weight
where it's
casting
going
like that.
now, that's Victoria's Secret isn't even alive anymore, and what's really interesting when I first got to New York and they made comments about my body and like, "Oh, you're not New York ready. We're not gonna submit you to any jobs," and this has been happening since I started modeling. I mean, I was 20 years old supporting myself in Los Angeles and got
Damn.
told that, "Oh, pull out this photo, like, you're getting soft. We're not gonna submit you to any jobs until we see a difference in your
I'm
body." I'm
sorry,
like,
what?
"Oh,
You're so
I have so
tiny,
many
Maddie. How do you
stories."
even get tinier? Like, what? Are you
Well, no, that's what I
serious?
said to the when I moved to New York and they said this, I said, "Okay, so you you essentially like I eat a lot, but I eat very healthy and I exercise. I'm very healthy. Like, are you asking me to pretty much like get addicted to drugs or like starve myself, you
Seriously.
know?" So that's the comment they made. So then I like just paid more attention to like changing my workout plan a lot. I would never was like restrictive or anything like that. But then I got to the point because they said if we're gonna have like one shot to submit you to clients like Victoria's Secret. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And I got, I get mad about all these things that have been said to me over the years that are just pretty much abusive.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like you can't go into that industry expecting something different. Like they're doing their job.
I feel like yes and no because I get the smallest hate comment sometimes from someone that doesn't even matter. And like
Mhm.
in your sense, it'd be like, you know, like a head of, let's say, a Victoria's Secret telling you or something. For me, it'd be like Billy from Iowa being like, your thighs are too big. You know what I mean? And
Oh, I get that
that would
too.
freaking like sting my heart. And obviously I'm very confident in who I am. But like if I got it, I feel like from people like in the industry of like a job I really want, that would really take a toll on my mental health.
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say is that it's changing though. So then once I got to the point that they wanted me at, and I went back to, oh, well, you know what? It's not what they're looking for anymore. Like the industry's changing. Look at the girls at like Victoria's Secret. It's now more inclusive with ethnicities, shapes, and sizes, which I think is incredible, but it's also, like, the girls like us that have been working so hard
Right.
to get to that point, and that's part of our lifestyle and our job.
Yeah.
It's difficult because it's like, "Okay, now where do we go from here?" So,
Right.
it's changing so much, so it's incredible that a company like Sports Illustrated is probably gonna be kind of the next
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret, but it's just a really tricky, like,
It's tough because you
to
never
navigate.
know what the company or client will want now.
Well, this is what when they said that, it just kind of hit me like they can say something so passively about like, "Oh, do this to your body," and like it gets ingrained in your brain and it changes your entire life
No,
as
I
a
cannot
model.
imagine.
And then they can flip it or change their mind like that, and to them it's nothing, but to us it's like it's your health. It's
Absolutely.
insane.
Well, also, in my opinion, so I was technically like I did some like Adidas modeling and Nike modeling like in college still, like sports modeling when I was a lacrosse player too. And I would go into castings. I only went to a few because they were so draining, first off.
Were you a slew?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
And so I was with them in college and, I'd go in and they'd just like be like, "Okay, look left, look right. No, thanks. Okay, bye." And I'm like, "Well, why'd you invite me into this casting if you knew I wasn't
Oh
your
my
look?"
gosh, the amount of my time that's been like, I'll like get my hair blown out, pay that, like drive there. It's half of my day, prepare for it, and then you're there for 5 minutes. And exactly, like they could have
Yeah.
known from photos or like your measurements and stuff not to waste your time and call you in there. But that's the other thing is you take it so personally when I like that's the other like I went to college for 4 years. I work really, really hard and I'm so used to what you put in is what you get out from it, and using your brain and like your other talents
Right.
to your benefit. And modeling is the one thing that has been so frustrating to me because it doesn't matter how hard you work, how many test shoots you do, how hard you work out, how healthily you eat or take care of yourself. It's out of your control, and they're looking for
Completely.
something specific, so
Mhm.
you take it personally when really they just have this look, like you said, that they're going for, and if you're not that, there's nothing you can do.
Right, and like you said, it's completely out of your control, and I feel like it'd be so hard to be fulfilled in an industry or job career that is solely based on the way you look.
Or out of your control, and that's the other thing is that your looks are it's crazy how much emphasis society puts on it because at the end of the day, like, we're all gonna wrinkle, we're all gonna even in dating, like, obviously, you need to be sexually attracted to someone, but, you just wanna be with your best friend or someone that makes you laugh, like, it doesn't actually
Yes.
matter, and it's not going to
Yes.
matter. So, it's just crazy, like, our society, I just don't like, it's something that it's not sustainable, Whether by the time I'm 30, like, best case scenario, I could model until then, but then what? Like, I'd rather
Damn.
simultaneously be working on something that A, like, lights a fire and, like, I wake up every day excited about, but also that's sustainable and, you're building towards something. Like, I know some girls that modeled and then they started, like, their own clothing line or some sort of business that can, turn into something greater.
For sure. Let's actually talk about that and what you said about how society just makes this whole deal of like what you look like. Let's actually take, the devil's advocate side here and say, you have had pretty privilege and someone can look at you and you can do anything you want in life because you're so beautiful. What would your like
View.
counter be? And have you ever had any problems with being like so beautiful? And I know that's such a weird question.
Well, we talked about this a little bit before we started, but not that I even think like I'm my own toughest critic, and I think everyone's really hard on themselves, especially in the industry. So I don't think of myself that way, but
Maddie.
I also haven't always like in high school, like I never got asked to prom, I never got asked to homecoming. I don't know if guys were just scared of me or what it was, but
Probably that.
but
That's a bad thing
intimidating.
about pretty privilege too. They're intimidated.
I think I was just, like, scary and standoffish, but, so no, I haven't always felt that way, but I think now people just assume, okay, A, that I'm dumb. When I think above all things, I consider myself pretty intelligent, and people are make comments all the time because I speak a lot on my Instagram stories, and I like to share things like this or do cooking video like, show some of my personality and
Right.
talent and my voice. And people make comments all the time like, "Wow, you're actually smart." Or even if I meet a guy, like, that knows me from social media prior to meeting and maybe at a party or something, he's like, "Oh, you actually, like, have a pretty good head on your shoulders."
Keyword actually.
Yes,
Fuck that
yes.
word. You are actually this, you are actually that. And I get it too as being an influencer. People say, "Oh my god, you post, on Instagram for a living," and they think I am not very intelligent.
Mhm.
And that's
You went
like
to fucking USC, like
that's like the well, as an athlete, but still,
Okay,
sure, sure, sure. I studied broadcast, but
you
no,
still
I am
have to
smart.
be.
Whatever. I
See, you're
graduated
talking
cum
down to
laude.
yourself, don't let them
Yeah.
get to you.
Graduated cum laude. My mom was gonna be listening to this and be like, "Stop talking down about yourself." No, but for real, I think pretty privilege is a real thing. So one of my best friends is so so beautiful, and we can sit here and be like, it's so hard being beautiful. But I wanted to actually, counter, a little bit of people going after girls who are so beautiful and saying they can get anything they want because it can actually be a bad thing.
Well, another thing I wanted to say too, because I talk about mental health a lot, is people look at my life and they say, "Oh, she lives in New York, did live in LA, like models, goes to all these glamorous dinners and trips and whatnot." And they see that. First of all, people, I try to do a little bit more than this, but overall, Instagram and social media in general is a highlight reel. You're not seeing everything, but the main thing is people tend to think that if you don't have a tough life, you're not allowed to have anxiety, to have mental health issues. You have to earn that. It's all relative. I could sit here and tell you guys about my life and how much I've been through. Like, I'm not gonna try to like defend myself, but everyone has their shit. Like, I come from a single hardworking mother. I don't talk to my father. Like, there's just so many other things that you guys would never
Yeah,
know, but you just use that to to fuel your fire, and it's you don't have to earn the right to have struggles.
absolutely not. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for what you're going through. You
Right.
could honestly, like some days, I have the most perfect life and I'm fully, fully aware I am so blessed with everything that comes my way. Have I had some hardships that I've never opened up before? Absolutely. Everyone has.
Do you
But
feel guilty too? Because I tend to feel
all
like
the time.
I used to like, as a kid, I even had, like, anxiety, and I'd go to therapy and stuff, and I would cry all the time. My mom's like, "I don't get it, like, you're so
Yeah.
smart and beautiful and this and that, like, why are you so unhappy?" And it's just like, it doesn't have to be a reason. Sometimes you feel off, and that's okay. It's like the whole, "It's okay to not be okay,"
Right.
and it really is. You don't and you can feed into that and just, like, recognize how you're feeling and be okay with it's just like you can have off days and you don't have to put on a face
Absolutely.
to everyone and feel bad for having on paper everything yet feeling like you don't have anything.
Yeah, honestly, thank you for saying that because sometimes I do feel really guilty. Like last night, I actually slept at my parents' house and I woke up and my mom's like, "How'd you sleep?" I'm like, "Pretty bad. I have such bad anxiety." And she's like, "Why? What do you have to do this week?" And I'm like, "Well, I have like this, 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 this." And she was like, "Okay, but those are all fun things. Like you love what you do." I'm like, "No, no, I know. I don't understand sometimes why I have anxiety, but it's something unexplainable and you can't really
It's
have a reason."
and also the grass is always greener. Like myself, I've realized that I kind of like structure. Like I like having a schedule and I'm just a personality that I need a little bit of guidance for each day and just have it like organized. And because right now, like with, modeling being like trying to figure that whole thing out and having like all these different passions and ideas and things I want to work on, it's so overwhelming. And I was actually doing a little like Instagram live yesterday talking with people about this and the different tactics to like try to like combat that. Because when you're in our kind of
Oh,
industries where you create your own schedule, it's so overwhelming because as much as it's a blessing to have endless opportunities and we're so lucky that we literally could do, like, whatever we want with our lives, like, it's also super overwhelming because it's like, "Where do I go?" And it's almost paralyzing, and I feel like I get nothing done and do nothing sometimes, and it's funny because 'cause I'm always like, "Oh my gosh, I did nothing, like, all day. I haven't accomplished anything," and my friends are like, "What are you talking about? You're always on." Like, with
yeah,
social media too, it's like, I'm never working, but I'm also always working. Like, you're always on your phone. It's even 24/7, like, I need to start having off times where I'm not on Instagram because we communicate that way even.
totally.
So
So,
it's
what are some of your tips that you said you were talking about it yesterday? What are some of your tips that kind of, either get you motivated when you don't have a boss? Because some people have 9 to 5s are like, oh my gosh, like you guys can do anything, but it's like we have to motivate ourselves. We have to like
right.
schedule in everything ourselves. So, do you have like a tip or like a time management tip, a scheduling tip, or anything to get you motivated?
So one thing that's helped me is because I tend to start something and then I'm like, it's a squirrel, and like I start something
Yeah,
else and like yeah, I
same
start like emptying the dishwasher and then I don't even finish that and then I start doing something else
story
and
of
I
my
just like
life.
go from like pinball from one thing to the next and then I end up
Yep.
getting nothing done, that my friend told me that his dad, like, instilled this in him, like, just finish one thing and then move on to the next. Like, it doesn't matter if it seems like something
Small.
that's right, not important. Like, okay, even if it's like making your breakfast, like finish, eat it, enjoy it, fully be present. And I think it goes back to, like I said, presence. Another thing that the guys I was speaking with yesterday said was something about horizons, where you pick like throughout your week different things that you want to focus on, like something that
Oh,
is you're working on immediately and in the present time, something that you want to do in the future, and then one like wild card. I wanted to like do more research because this was just
cool.
yesterday, but something like that where you kind of divide it based on. And I think also just not, because I have a list in my phone of probably 300 things to do. I'm a big notes person, so it's manic, like so many different things in my notes, and every time I
Yeah.
think of it, I'm like, do this too.
I know.
So now every
Same.
day, like today, for example, my day was cooking videos, like exercise, the podcast, and I think I had one other thing. And like just pick like 2 or 3 things, or maybe 3 or 4 to focus on, and then focus on those just to not overwhelm yourself, because when you create such a huge list for yourself and then you end up you're setting yourself up because you know there's not enough time in the day to get them all done, and then you're going to be mad at yourself for
And then get
it.
anxiety that you
Yes, and then it's just
can't
a
finish it.
cyclical loop.
Yeah,
So like
so true.
I think also I've been focusing a lot more on sleep because I'm definitely a person that's like just go, go, go all the time, like stays up late, maybe drink, don't sleep, wake up early, like spike my cortisol by exercising, chug caffeine, and it's just this like loop. So
Yeah,
I've been finding like the importance in rest a lot more. Like it's okay to take, because I'm so competitive with myself, and it's like, well, if I'm not doing like everything I absolutely can, then I'm not
right.
helping myself, you know? So take rest days. That's okay. Like we deserve to relax,
Absolutely. And one thing
sleep.
I've actually
Like
learned about sleeping and what's really, really important is going to bed and waking up around the exact same time every
every
day.
day.
And that's
Mhm.
like, routine, a schedule thing. So for me, what really works to get the best night's sleep is like going to bed at 10:30 every single night and waking up at 6:30
Really.
every single day.
So I think for me, the big thing is like I have no problem getting in bed around that time, but then it's the phone thing that
Yeah.
I need to start charging my phone outside my room, because I
Yeah.
wake up naturally early. I don't even need my alarm. That's like, oh, I need my alarm in my room. Like,
Yeah. No, I
no, and then you get
TikTok
on your
every
phone right
day.
away, yeah, and it's like the light, and maybe I would have fallen back asleep a little bit longer, and then instead of, like, meditating or journaling or something healthy in the morning, like, I think the longer that you stay off of your phone in the morning, the happier you are.
Oh, you're
There's
talking about in the morning.
yeah, well, also night, but
So for me, what I actually been doing because I can spend hours on TikTok. Literally hours, and I don't even see the time. So before I, like, open anything else, you could set a timer on your phone for, like, 22 minutes or something. I do something, like, random every
Oh.
time. And so when you're just scrolling aimlessly on social media, you don't even realize how much time you're wasting, and then that timer goes off, and you're like, "Holy shit, I was just on here for 22 minutes?" Like, and then you just, like, immediately get off it, and you, like, make
Um,
yourself go to bed.
the screen time every week is just
Wild.
disgusting for me. Wow,
Same.
like
It's
9
like,
hours a day.
it's our jobs, like, I make an excuse for
Exactly, but
it.
still that's not, and I think to my I'll be like, "Okay, I'm not gonna go out tonight. I'm gonna stay home and, like,
Yeah.
work on myself, take a bath, cook," and then I'm like I end up being on my phone for 6 hours on my couch, and just,
Ugh,
like,
I
instead
know.
of being present and actually enjoying what I'm doing, I'm like, "Well, I should be out with them, or I should be in Greece with these people," like,
So, basically, I look at your Instagram and I'm like, "This is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen," and
"Oh, thank
all your
you."
photos are just so beautiful. Everything you do is amazing. I'm serious, like, you travel, like, everywhere, do really cool things. Do you ever look at other girls and compare yourself?
Oh, come on, of course. That's the thing, is just being happy where you're at and knowing that they also are wishing they were somewhere else or struggling with
Totally.
their own issues. Like you could be in the most beautiful place in the world, yet you see someone else doing something else that you deem better and you wish you were there as well. And same with the looks thing. It's like there's always something like it's the whole adage, like, there's always gonna be someone smarter than you, prettier than you, and but then also with social media, it's just, like, how much of it is actually even real, and it's all fake now, and, like, all the editing and
Yeah.
everything, and it's just
There's so
scary.
much editing
And
that
I
go
even
into
know,
now.
like, what people are capable of doing to their images, yet I still get fooled by it
Totally. It's
99
just
million times a
human.
day, yeah.
Is there any comparison I'm sure there is in the modeling industry, but mean in terms of, like, competitiveness of, like, "Oh, that girl's my friend and she got that job," and then you get jealous of each other and it
Mhm.
gets weird?
Well, So that's what I was gonna say as far as friendships, I think it's really important to have like I've always kind of had a bunch of different types of friends, like people in different industries, different backgrounds, because I find that when you're friends with people that do exactly what you do, don't get me wrong, I do have modeling friends, but even if you're supportive of them and happy for them when they book a job, there's always going to be a tinge of jealousy, like, oh, that could have been me. Like
Yes.
one of my best friends, she's probably listening, but, like, her and I were meeting with the same agency in New York, and it's so funny, so I walk out of the meeting, and she literally was coming in right after me. It's like, "High five, good luck," and then she goes in, she ends up getting offered by the agency to sign, I didn't, and she's like, "Oh, well, they told you, like, they were gonna think about it, like, the don't worry about it," and, like, they offered you on the spot, like, obviously, it's not gonna happen, and, like, of course, I was so happy for her, and I expressed
Of
that,
course, yeah,
but
but
subconsciously and, like, I was, like, a little bit jealous, you know, like, "Well,
totally,
then
it's
is
just
she better than I am?"
natural.
Like, you know what I mean? So, there definitely is a lot of competitiveness because there's only so many jobs, and like I said,
Right.
you take it personally when it's really, like, her and I look nothing alike, so it's like maybe they
For sure.
needed that look, you know?
For sure.
But yeah, like I said, I think it's really important to have a variety of friends and just surround you with people that make you feel good. And like even some of my friends in the industry, I've realized I've kind of outgrown that. Like I've outgrown it because what used to work for me, and that's okay. It may not anymore. Like when my friends make comments about, oh my God, I've eaten so much today, or like, I can't like I don't eat all day until dinner and like things like that that trigger me that once like I fed into and would also do the same have the bad habits like I notice, and that's about, like, mindfulness and being aware of your thoughts, like, now I catch myself, like, having negative self-talk and things like that.
Yeah.
I can notice it, and that's what meditation is, like, they use the analogy of clouds and, like, noticing your thoughts versus trying to avoid them. So when I, like, hear those types of things, I make note of it. I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't make me feel good, so maybe I shouldn't surround myself with people like that," and or, like, put them in categories. Like, my friends that are work friends maybe also aren't the ones that I wanna tell about my relationships
Right.
or work. Like, some of my friends at Model don't also have, like, that business mentality, and that's okay.
Right.
Like, I'll have fun with them, but maybe that's not also the same type of person that I wanna, like, share those goals with.
Absolutely. I feel like surrounding myself sometimes with girls who'd be like, "Oh my god, I only had a smoothie today." I'd be like, "Wait, I ate this," and
Yeah,
I'd question
same.
myself. I'd
I'm
be
like,
like,
"Wait, I'm a model too, but I ate, like,
"Yeah."
that for my pre-breakfast, and that's all you've had all day." And, like, even my friend was like, I think my friend met you oh, no, someone where were we the other day? Oh, my cousin, she saw, like, a video that I posted at your event the other day, and she made some comments, she's like, "Wow, that girl's so real, like, I don't know what she has, but, like, you need to spend more time with her, Maddie." It was so cute, I
Oh,
mean,
that's
dead
really
serious, it was really sweet, but I'm like,
nice.
"You know what?" Like, I've
So
known that, like,
nice.
I know when I'm around Katie, like, I feel good about not only myself, but, like,
Hell
she's just
yeah.
great energy, but, like, that's what people need more of, and just noticing those things, and, like, a lot of times when I get off the phone and have a conversation with someone, I'm like, "Did that leave me selfishly?" Like, and that's okay, like, life's too short, you
Totally
gotta
okay.
like, did that leave me feeling better after or worse? And same with any interaction you have with someone.
And it is okay. I love the word you said, outgrow. You just outgrew some of your friends and you noticed
Oh,
it.
I keep my circle real tight. I'm a Scorpio,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I got 3 close friends and that's it, like
Seriously though, you can outgrow your friends, and I think that needs to be normalized because we change so much in our 20s. I talked a lot about it last week, but, like, I outgrew a few friends, 2 in particular, and honestly, they were perfect for me at the time and place, and that sounds really selfish, but then they ended up being very toxic.
No, and that's okay, and same with that's another thing with the whole move that I've really realized and initially, and I like to act like I have a thick skin and be super stubborn. I'm kind it's been a struggle for me. Like I moved away and moving across the country, a lot of people's true colors show of who makes time for you. But likewise, coming back, I've been here now a week and the amount of friends, like my real friends that when I lived here, like we spent, Monday nights together, we like
Yeah,
worked out together, we did like day-to-day life with, not just party friends, like
right.
those real friends and they haven't made 20 minutes to see me, and I know it goes both ways, but it's kind of, like, eye-opening,
Damn.
It's crazy, it's brutal, but it's like, "Okay, like, that's okay." Like, I'll find other people that
Absolutely. And you
are
can outgrow
legit.
friends and go through stages. I
Yeah.
think in our life, I think it should be normalized that you could go through stages of friends. Absolutely. Okay, we are now at our segment called Mood Boosting Mantra. Is there any quote or mantra that kind of rings true, like an affirmation that you say to yourself or something in business and modeling to keep you inspired and motivated?
my gosh, putting me on the spot. There's so many. This
I
is my
know.
kind of thing, and I'm like, I have so many. This one's, I think the whole just if not when now, because there's just like life's too short and you're always going to come up with a million excuses and there's no perfect time to do anything. And I think with moving and everything, I realized like I kept waiting for like signs. I'm a big sign person. Like when this, and I did have a few signs, I must say, but I think that like just do it. Like rip off the band-aid. Like there's never gonna be a perfect time for anything. Like I said earlier, like you're never gonna be younger than you are right now. Life's just too short. And I think also I'm trying to like figure out how to put this in a concise statement, but anxiety, I use that term loosely, but like it's all about something you're thinking of in the future that 99% of the time doesn't even end up happening. So I think that like there's some quote about nothing, like worry what doesn't, I think it's actually a Bible verse, like nothing worrying didn't achieve anything. So just like don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I really love that,
No,
and especially
seriously, like, it doesn't like, I get so worked up in my head, and then I'm like, "Oh, wait, it didn't even end up happening." You
yeah.
know?
Or, like, you just get so nervous about something, and then it was, like, not a big deal at all when it actually happens.
Right.
And the quote you said, "If not now, when?" I use that quote every day when I wanted to break up with my boyfriend. I, like, was, like, really struggling to break
Oh
up
my
with
god, I
him.
thought you meant right now. It's like,
Oh, no, 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 oh my god, I'm in love right now, trust me, my ex-boyfriend.
okay.
I was struggling for months to break up
Yeah.
with him, and I was like, "It's never the right time, it's never the right time," and my best friend was like,
What
"If
are you
not
waiting
now, when?"
for? Yeah.
Like, it'll never be the right time. If you are waiting for the right time, it's too late
Right.
because you're never going to feel like you are ready to do something, so go for it. I absolutely
I
love
have
that.
one more too. Everything's
Yes.
temporary, and that goes both ways. Like, seize the moment because you're gonna look back on this moment and, like, wish that you were where you are now that you may not think highly of, like, you're gonna be wishing that you'd really appreciated that time in your life.
Yeah.
Also, the struggles, like, you're always gonna get through it. Because I was going back to relationships, I was in a really toxic relationship, and day after day, I felt like, "Okay, I'm going to therapy, and I really I know what I want, but I just don't know how to get myself out of the situation." It was when I first moved to LA. I didn't have any money saved. I was, like, living with him. I didn't know what I wanted to do work-wise. I was just finishing up school. I didn't have a car, nothing, and it was like, "How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this?" And now looking back, it's like, my life is so different, and I would have never thought that I would have gotten myself out of that situation. But you're gonna, like, wake up one day, and I literally woke up and was like, "Nope, the time's now. Let's
Hell
do it."
yeah.
Ripped off the Band-Aid, like, started modeling, got a car, got roommates, made new friends, got a job, like,
And it was
everything.
temporary.
All
The
yeah,
relationship was temporary and you got out of it. I love that.
right.
I love that.
You can
Okay,
do anything.
we're at our next, Maddie, don't kill me.
Is it another
We're at
on the
our
spot?
we're at our next segment right now. It's called No Filter. This one, so basically, No Filter is a segment where you answer a question and I throw out like the most out there question. Like I have
Okay.
really asked people if they're a reality TV star was like, who was their worst coworker on reality TV? I've asked literally Mark Sanchez, who is his least favorite person on his podcast. I've asked some crazy questions. So this question, yeah, sip your water. Who is the most famous celebrity you've hooked up with? Your face. You guys, if you're just listening on the podcast, her face is just hilarious.
A lot of them, like, slide into my DMs, but then it's really underwhelming because nothing even ends up happening. Like, I
Okay.
talked to Blake Griffin for a while, and, like, he tried hooking up with me, but I don't even
No, he's
know.
slid in your DMs though.
Yeah, no, I had a lot. Famous-wise, probably Nija, the skateboarder.
Oh,
I don't even
fun.
know who
He's
that
cute.
is.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
really
yeah,
cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually wasn't he in the Olympics this year?
Yeah.
Dope.
I don't think he did
All
very
right,
well,
who is
but
the craziest DM that you've gotten?
oh my gosh, what do you mean craziest? Like, from
Like,
a celebrity or
hilarious, yeah. A hilarious celebrity DM that people
well,
be like,
I
"Oh,
don't
that's
even
hilarious."
remember this stuff. Just like riot things, and I don't even know. I feel like most of the time it stems from sorry, this is probably like so non-juicy for y'all, but that's hard to think of. It's just like weird foot stuff.
Yeah, so true. So true. She's talking about, like, people with foot fetishes.
Yeah, I don't think that was like a celebrity comment, but I don't know. They tend to be more normal. Like they're not really that
Yeah.
out there. I mean, like some like older celebrities, like David Spade, Jeremy Piven, like the old dudes that are just still trying to be relevant. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't that's not enough, bro. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I was on Raya for, like, 2, 3 years,
it's just an ego
and
boost. Like, they don't
absolutely.
even ask you out. I'm like, what's the point of matching that you just want to know that I like you?
No, I literally though, which I think my favorite part about Raya was matching with these, like, really famous people,
Athletes too. I was like,
athletes,
I like to match
and
with Kevin
showing
Durant, and then I was like, I saw him at Delilah, and I was like, I matched with you on Raya.
and then you, like, show your friends their slideshow on Raya.
Oh,
It's
but
freaking
do you try taking
hilarious.
I've tried many times to try and take screenshots,
And
and
they
then
exile you.
it gives it alerts. I don't know if it alerts them, but it's like, "This just one strike," and you get in
Yes.
trouble.
Yes, yes, I've had that happen to me before.
Damn it, now I'm trying to think of my funny DMs. I think that for the most part, like, the famous people aren't as gnarly because,
Oh,
like, they
dang.
know. A lot of times too, they'll message you, and then you go back to reference it and like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you who messaged me." And their egos are so big that, like, they delete the messages so that you can't see that they got denied and you didn't respond to them or
Oh
something.
my
It's so
gosh.
funny.
Have you ever gone on a date from Raya?
Um, I think 1 or 2. But no, for the most part, you know what I think they do is they find your Instagram and then they message you from
True.
there. I've
Very
been on a
true.
few, but nothing
I
came
feel
out
like
of it.
Raya is not the type of app that you actually go on a nice date to.
Wait, you know what? I've been hearing time and time again that Hinge, people are meeting their significant other off Hinge, but
Are
I
you on
just
Hinge?
I'm not because I just feel like it's like it would be a
Yeah.
freaking cesspool. Like,
Yeah, I feel like also it is extremely exhausting. I used to be on dating apps, and that's how I met my boyfriend, actually. I met on him on The League. Have you ever heard of
okay,
The League?
that's the one for Ivy League schools, right?
Yeah. I was trying to find myself a
Is it
finance
still?
boy.
Is it still?
Yeah, so basically they give you 4 guys a day and, like, you have to, like, get
That's
accepted
good. That's
in.
nice.
It is nice, and all of them are, like, really successful, but not in, like, the athlete, celebrity industry, entertainment world, so which
Mhm.
I really liked because I was trying to date someone who wasn't in the
The
industry,
normal,
honestly,
that's
like,
my mom's like, "Date a normal guy, Maddie." I'm like,
the word
"What
normal
does
is
normal
so
even mean?"
offensive to my boyfriend sometimes, like, when I first started dating him, I was like, "You are just so normal, I love it," and he's like, "Well, that's kinda fucked." I'm like, "No, normal is the best word possible because it's hard to find someone normal in
Oh my
LA."
gosh, absolutely, and I thought the dating would be way better in New York, it's just as bad.
I feel like there's some finance dudes that are, like, really beautiful and so rich in New York, but so douchey.
Oh, I almost so there's this one guy, my girlfriend, the first week moving there, tried to be setting me up with that lives in my building, and her
Awkward.
husband's best friend is him, and he stopped me in the hallway. I'm like, "Wait, this must be him." He has the dog that she referenced. He, like, gets on his he has a suit on, gets on his motorcycle, goes to Wall Street. It's just so beyond,
I
like
feel like dating guys in New York, I don't know why, I just feel like they're always in their 30s, and they're always older.
well, 30s is fine, but I just feel like New York and LA is Peter Pan syndrome. Like, there's dudes that are 35. You're like, okay, don't you want to start thinking about settling down or at least date a good girl? And no,
No.
they just
No.
hookup culture. I'm like,
Well, it's
I
also
don't
because
understand.
they unfortunately, like, they just have so many options, in my
Right. And
opinion.
social media too. Now they can have an
Right.
amazing girl, but then they just see a million girls every day.
Absolutely, and, like, for us as girls, I don't think we have as many options as they do. I see, like, there's so many beautiful, beautiful, and
Oh,
successful and
for
smart girls in
sure.
LA and New York City, and they just, like, quadruple the amount of good guys there are. So they just have a lot of options.
I agree.
Do you have any dating tips,
Oh my gosh.
like,
I've
outside
been
of the dating
single
apps?
for like 3 years, so I'm definitely not great at that. Dating tips.
Besides the apps, because I feel like a lot of times my biggest question that I get about dating is, like, how to meet someone outside of dating apps.
I have a mutual friend thing hasn't been as useful to me just because I feel like when you get set up, you feel pressured to go out with them, even if you don't want to. Like my friends will
Yeah,
say, "Oh, here, I'm gonna put you in a group text with this guy. You guys need to go out sometime." And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't really want to. Like,
I
I feel
feel
like
like
I
I would
have
like that.
to.
That's how my boyfriend kinda met after. We
Really?
matched on The League and then didn't really, like, speak on the dating app. A mutual friend hooked us up.
Yeah.
That I feel like was my most comfortable way to meet someone
Mhm.
because I was like, "Oh, this
I would
person
say for
approves."
dating, just be open to doing things. And I feel like honestly, anytime I like it's so funny because it's always the night that you're like, I'm not gonna go out tonight. Okay, fine. Your
Yeah.
friends drag you out and you happen to meet someone, like just be open to new experiences and trying new things. And then that by default, like also put yourself in places where you would want to meet someone because sometimes you're like,
Love that.
why would I like expect to meet a good guy at this bar. Like, of course, I'm gonna be disappointed, but maybe at, like, a
Absolutely.
yoga class or some sort of, like, cool wine club, I don't know,
Go to
like
places you want your future husband to going to, not a
yeah.
strip club or
Like, go hang
n
out at the golf course, the
Yeah.
bar there, like, I don't know,
I love that, I love that. Okay, before we go, talk to me about Maddie's Munchies.
Right, so as I kind of mentioned earlier, I've been trying to get more into the, like, health and wellness scene, like, food industry. What I'm doing is kind of reverse engineering, like, my end goal as of now, and I think that your goals evolve over time, you realize, like, you take different paths and realize what you wanna
Yeah,
do over time, is, like, I'd love to have a food travel show, like, I don't think many, like, girls in the modeling industry or influencers, I guess, have really done that, so I think I could be, like, a food critic, like, travel and review restaurants and stuff like that because 'cause I'm, like, a huge
I
foodie, and
love
I have
that.
no problem, like, sending things back and complaining about
Hell yeah,
things.
put it into
Very
existence
honest.
too.
But I have a friend that works in the CBD business, and he came to me and said, "Any product that you'd wanna create, like, we'll pretty much help you with production and everything. You'll put your name on it. What are you passionate about? Like, think about it." So I am obsessed, like, huge foodie. I'm obsessed with cereal pretty much every night before bed. I'm a big nighttime snacker. I would always have, like, a bowl of cereal because it hits different at night.
It
It
does.
does. So I thought, like, why not have something that also mellows you out and helps you sleep, is good for you. So hence
Mm.
Maddie's Munchies is my keto. So it's
Ooh.
low carb, low sugar, CBD cereal. And we have a little bit here for you to
Hell
try.
yeah. Do you put it in milk or can you just eat it like
No,
this?
of course. I'll do it with almond milk or
Oh, it's
sometimes
nice
I'll
and light.
right. It
It's, like,
almost
fluffy.
tastes like a chocolate wafer, right? You
Yeah,
remember
it's
those
really
wafer
fluffy.
cookies? So yeah, I can do it milk. Sometimes I'm a big like smoothie bowl person or I make yogurt
Mm.
bowls and put that as a topping as well. So
Hell yeah,
it's nice.
Maddie. I'm so proud of you. Sorry, I'm
Thank
still
you.
eating this. It's so good. But thank you for coming on Awesome
Thank
AF.
you.
Where can everyone find you?
Instagram at Mad Tev, kind of like Mad TV, but Tev. TikTok, Maddie Tev. I have Facebook, but who does Facebook now?
Facebook. My sister.
Mom, shout out.
All right, well, thank you, Maddie.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Super
you.
fun.
And bye, guys. I'll see you next week.
Bye.